Rebecca was 17. She was tall and had coal black hair, and she was muscular in her build. And she grew up on the farm near here, but she loved the woods. And she would roam the woods and learn about the plants and the trees and the wildlife. And she would watch what happened when some of the trees fell down, some of them into the creek. She waded the creek. She looked at the amphibians and the little native brook trout in there. And I'm sure sometimes she even fished a little bit, but the fish weren't very big. I tried to imagine what it would be like to live here in this pristine setting, and yet be so worried because the lumber barons had moved down from the north, and they were looking at this area and the Shade Mountains and the Tuscarora Mountains, and they just saw beautiful trees. So she had a vivid imagination. She kept thinking, after I graduate from high school, which was very unusual for women at that time, but she was so smart, and she really wanted to do something other than be a farm wife or a domestic worker. So when she met the daughters of these wealthy lumber barons who had gorgeous homes outside of McAllisterville, mansions really, she learned what it was like to live with wealth and privilege. And they were going to go to college. And so she had a taste of what it might be like not doing farm work, not taking care of aging grandparents, not have to cut oats by hand and have the little oat slice on her hands and have to endure the bugs and the heat. And if the crops died, they didn't have anything to eat because they harvested their grain by hand, took them to a mill, had it ground, brought it back, and that was their flour and their cornmeal. So the work that they had to do on this farm was just so hard, and Rebecca knew that, and she had calluses on her hands, and she was tan from the sun, and she wanted something different.